DIY.
DIYers, there has been amazing music that has been dropping that a lot of us have been seeing as being an extension of the classic hip hop so many of us have fell in love with. And it comes at a very interesting time where the tastemakers, and I'll even say, in my opinion, the new execs and A&Rs who had such a control over how music or what music was pushed to the masses, I feel like those positions, as they have morphed and been downsized in that record business, have morphed into some of these streamers. I don't know if you've noticed it. And today's video is going to be a little bit different than the typical reaction video because I have more things that I want to share that I've just been thinking about when it comes to what I've noticed. And I'm going to call it the campaign of anti-intellectualism, right? It's one thing for people to say, hey, I love music that I can vibe to. I love music that plays in the background when I'm cleaning up. I have no issues with that at all. It's another thing when I see people aggressively push back at anything that requires the brain, anything that requires a little bit of thinking, and even doesn't require it. It's just gifting that to you as an opportunity to go deeper than the surface. I know some people were very hesitant when I shared this on my Twitter account because they're like, why are you platforming these people? But I believe in calling out the devil when you see it. And when I say devil, I'm talking about a mindset more than I'm talking about any individual person. I think that there have been people like Aiden Ross, people like this gentleman here, XQC, who have been using their platforms. Neon's another one of them that use their platform and they push such a brain rot like culture, specifically when they're talking about anything rap or hip hop. And we don't go to these people for their taste. We don't go to these people, but some kids do. And unfortunately, it starts to morph their own way and viewpoint of what rap should be, even though rap stands for rhythm and poetry. With that said, don't know how familiar any of you guys are with this guy here. I believe we covered him one time when the Canadian Light Bright went to his stream during the heat of the battle. But with that said, I put up this tweet from this video of XQC reacting to Anthony Fantano giving the new Travis Scott album, Jack Boys 2, a 2. Okay? What he said in this shit was so head scratching. I said, this sounds like the music version of Shut Up and Dribble, which that was a famous saying that was said by a Fox News reporter in response to LeBron having any viewpoints outside of basketball that were political. I said, this push for anti-intellectualism in rap is just another reason this segment of brain rot vibe rap needs its own genre separate from hip hop. I'm going to play the clip. Let's discuss it.
Which is why I'm feeling a light 2 on this thing.
That's crazy. That is such a hater note. That's crazy.
So Anthony Fantano just gave the Clips album, which is obviously full of double entendre and so many poetic devices, so much layers and stories that are resonating with a lot of people because it's more than what meets you at the surface. It's music with substance. This album that felt like it was very much made for the same audience that just kind of like streams with 40 different devices in front of them, the Jack Boys project, got a light 2. Anthony gave Clips 10, gave this a 2. XQC reacts this way. This ain't even the worst of it.
He gave Clips a 9. The reality with this guy is that if you care that much about lyrics, just read a book. Ask the rappers to write books. And
you heard that correctly. He says if you care that much about lyrics, just read a book. We're not talking about a genre that is predominantly known for instrumental music. We're talking about hip hop. Once again, we're talking about rap, rhythm, and poetry. It's not even the worst of it.
Read their books, read their tweets, read their thoughts. The music is more than just lyrics. Nobody gives a shit. I listen to a song. I don't care about what they say. They could be speaking German for all I give a shit about. I listen to some Chinese rap sometimes. I don't know why. Because if it's a vibe, I play on my speaker. Because
correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't this feel like this is the kind of same brainless experience people have when going down their timeline? They don't really care who the account is by. The video is just, it's just literally there for mindless entertainment. In that scenario, I understand it, right? It passes the time. For somebody who makes music, for somebody who loves music, for somebody who loves hip hop, for somebody who loves raps, for somebody who loves a vibe, but then also somebody who's able to string together and manipulate language in a way where it makes me say, damn, that was impressive. For somebody who's a fan of that, this sounds absolutely ridiculous. This streamer, right? We're going to leave it for what it is. Just said that if you want lyrics of any substance, why don't you just go read a book, read a podcast, go read their tweets. Now, I don't think this is solely the streamer's fault. I think that music for at least the last 10 years in the mainstream, there has been an effort by the major labels that be to make sure that the music that stays in the forefront on a more dominant timing happens to be music that doesn't require a lot of thinking. Hell, there's a lot of pop that falls into that same category. I think it's more detrimental to hip hop because of who the voices of the most purest hip hop is for. It's voices of the streets, it's voices of the people, it's voices of folks who are the voiceless. It's voices of the culture. And when that culture gets colonized and taken over by people who don't care about those things, it gets diluted. And the more that it gets diluted, the more you start to get folks who become products of that dilution. The product of that dilution is now him angrily yelling back at anything that has to do with the lyrics and how much he does not care about it. That's your decision.
I don't care about no lyrics, bitch. It's noises. Oh, dude, that was poetry. I don't care. Why would anybody care? The sounds themselves were worth more than a two.
Those of us in the culture care. And when it's something that you see yourself in, when it's something that you are motivated by, inspired by, when it is something that is more than just fucking noises, right? When it is an extension of where you are from, when it's a reflection of where you're from, when it is someone that you see in yourself in that, it's a very different experience, right? I feel bad for anybody who doesn't have that. I think about it, man. I think about it when they said a lot of people on this earth don't have inner dialogues. And this is the kind of shit that I think about when I think about those folks. I just can't fathom not having a conversation inside your head before you have it out loud. But then I think about folks like this and I realize some people are just rolling through, just going through the motions. So yeah, that's what XQC had to say. Boy, oh boy, it's unfortunate, but it was encouraging because this post that I put up, damn near got 1 million views. And there was a lot of human beings that popped up, a lot of amazing hip hop heads, a lot of idiots, a lot of bots. I don't argue. I do not argue anymore on Twitter. I don't argue. I don't go back and forth. I don't need to clap back. I get rid of devils. No, Remick, you can't come in. I get rid of devils. I don't talk to them. I don't play with snakes. I cut them off at the head and keep it moving. Shout out to Snatchback. He says street preachers and the way they spoke in the 60s had influenced the way hip hop is. People have deemed rap to stand for rhythm and poetry. While that's not the root of the word, the simple fact that people gave it that acronym means it literally is about the lyrics. 1000% agree with you. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And just to show that this is not some kind of argument that I'm making against just the streamers, because I think there's enough of them, like I said, that promote sort of brain rot entertainment, but they're not the only ones. There are actual publications, and I'm looking at Double XL, and I'm the more that I see clips of the Double XL freshman ciphers, the more discouraged I am to see them on this side of history. I thought for sure when I started to see Double XL posting freestyles, when I started to see them encouraging the back and forth and things that were going on, I felt like, yeah, they about to be on code. But once again, these are companies that also have a bottom line, and they want to make sure they don't alienate their younger audience. I think they got it right with Samara and Rayvon, but fuck. Look at this preview of the cipher, and I want you to see What do you see a dominant presence of? Once again, this is a conversation about anti-intellectualism and the agenda that seems to be very, 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 very prevalent. Pick this out. This is the preview.
Go ask about me, I'm not that guy. Most these grown-ass men act cool online, but they actually act like dots. Bitch, you know you wrong, so don't just sit there and act like something's not.
I like my shit slim and pretty. 5 feet tall, but I still get jiggy. I told my Atlanta bitch to drop your dot, I'm in your city.
Satisfaction when banana get peeled. On vacation, but I still got the steal. How the fuck you still smell through Vacasil?
Fuck is a Nino Pay type beat. I used to search that shit all the time, but for other rappers, nigga, not me. But I don't give it.
Look, and I don't want to make this something that's attacking the artists and their art. Hey, you have your art, you have your representation. But when I think about Double XL and I think about the Double XL ratings that they used to give, when I think about what what Double XL stood for in the culture, I look at this and I'm just like, okay, this is interesting. It's not about only highlighting those who are lyricists, right? Because there's some lyricists that talk about absolutely not a fucking thing. They just run their damn multi-syllable mouths off. They don't talk about shit. They don't connect to people. They're not people. You feel me? Like, they just as bad as this shit. They just happen to be a more multisyllabic version. My thing is, why is it 90% the other thing? Why is it 90% stuff that is the easiest to digest and 10% the other thing? I could even say 5%. Continue. It's not even, we're not done here.
Damn, I walk in double S a Ricky, bitch, I'm Ricky, damn.
You's a bitch, like your poet fucking daddy. Well, my pockets way too swole on bitches, punching and they smacking.
Do a temp check on me, I ain't like these niggas. Hot head, I get a right with a nigga. I get in your mind like a psychic, separate in from the rest with a hyphen, nigga.
Money saying how they folks who do, bitches saying how they folks.
Now, just think about this. Just think about the narrative. If this was a cipher full of lyricists, how many of us hip hop fans will be happy? And how much, I'm sure their younger audience who are not into lyrics will be like, man, get this unk rap out of here. But do you see how many rappers are representing what to me feels like an extension of the XQC video that we had, where he says, I don't care about no lyrics. Shit, I listen to other languages because I don't give a shit about what they talking about. I just wanted something I could tap my foot to. I also got a theory about that. I think those brain rot vibe rap listeners, two things. One, they should have their own genre. They should have their own genre so that they wouldn't have to worry about how it's being judged. That's your genre. This is what you want. Cool. Exist there. Attaching that to hip hop is a crime. A lot of this has no attachment to hip hop and doesn't want it. Some of these folks will say, I'm not a rapper, I'm a rock star. Give them that separation. Two, I feel like they're making this because they know people are not listening. They're just playing into it. Cool. Separate that. And if hip hop becomes terminology, I have no problem with that at all. But I do look at this and I'm like, damn, there's a push, and it's been a push for this, for the worst versions of how we relay our conversation. I shouldn't say the worst, but the easiest to understand sometimes. I don't know what you want to call this shit, but it definitely is not leaning on the side of having mature or intellectual conversations about what it is that we do and go through.
Came in the game with my thugs. Hey, nigga, the other side get home.
He can't even blink without seeing me everywhere. We're seeing Blake and move the culture like February.
And it makes someone like Samara seem like she shouldn't even be here. Like, at this point, it feels like this shit now is below a Samara. Even though I'm so proud, I'm so happy to see her because I followed her journey for a few years. I'm so proud to see her on this stage killing it. But it's like, at this point, what y'all doing? Putting that next to some, like, they shouldn't even be in the same room. Like, not like this. Not for a cipher. Maybe for a conversation about rap. And the... Go on, cook, sis.
Like a move the culture like February. Some drop no images, bad clips. Timeline type full of obituaries.
Niggas will blame me for being broke. How you mad when you got the same 24?
Shout out to Ray Vaughn. And they stuffed the lyricist at the end of a Double XL preview. Oh boy. Do you see what I'm getting at? We're going to go deeper.
I talk numbers, I speak Roman numerals, bitch. I'ma be late to my funeral. Try to cross me and think I ain't noticed it. Ain't your money, then why is you posting it?
Been a gangster since 3 years old. How the fuck you think they call me?
What kind of a burger is this? Where you got Jello at the bottom, YTB fat, no disrespect, and then Samara and Rayvon in the middle. You might as well eat that protein style.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
What the fuck is going on
Call
here?
me G3, undefeated nigga, any battle. How the fuck these niggas
bubble
gonna
burger?
beat me? Been whooping niggas since a little one. How the fuck these niggas gonna beat me?
Yeah, we've lost Double XL. It's not for us anymore. Here's a real conversation I want to have, though. Here's a real conversation I want to have, and I thought this was so brilliantly done. I was not familiar with this gentleman, Mr. Tamanashi, but he shared some thoughts, and I feel like this is a deeper reflection. This is where the conversation is going to get significantly more mature in this. Look, he created this piece recently on his Instagram called "It Ain't That Deep." Tell me if this is not a reflection of not just what's been happening in hip hop, what's fighting back against all of this amazing music and this music with depth, but also just a statement about society. He goes on to say, "It ain't that deep. How we traded critical thinking for convenience and called it truth." He says, it's disturbingly common you offer a well-researched, thoughtful response and someone shrugs, "It ain't that deep." But that statement is deep. It's a reflection of how far we've drifted from valuing thought itself. We don't just resist new ideas anymore. We resist the act of thinking by saying it ain't that deep. We are witnessing the cultural erosion of thought, the glorification of ignorance, and the fear of depth in a world addicted to speed and surface. It ain't that deep. That dismissal is how we've ended up wading in the shallow tides of ego, where waves of impulse knock ideas off their feet before they ever reach the ocean's edge. Thoughts dissolve before they can dive. Depth is denied at the shoreline. The rejection of depth is how we end up in critical situations without the tools to understand them. That is a bar.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
It ain't that deep, is what they say. We are in an impulsive society. Everything moves fast, but to truly think is to slow down, which is so damn challenging to do with all these devices around us, right? And instead of slowing down, we crowdsource our thoughts from the loudest mouths, streamers, not the wisest ones. Tyrants speak for attention, not with intention. Everything is opinion. Nothing is rooted in research, an investigation, in depth. It ain't that deep. Most opinions today stand on foundations no taller than the sole of a Hoka running shoe. It ain't that deep. Opinion is easy. It's reactive. It doesn't require effort. And in echo chambers, idiocy reverberates.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
He's cooking. Individuals who don't even read have been chosen to lead. It ain't that deep. We must reclaim thinking. We must remember its value, to think for ourselves, to challenge what we're told. It ain't that deep. To gather before we respond, because maybe, just maybe, it is that deep. Mr. Tamanashi. Boy, oh boy. You know, when you were younger and there were things that you rebelled against because it was, aside from your generation, and you looked and you said, man, I wonder what that version of rebellion will look like when I'm older. Never did I in my mind see a day that I would be protecting critical thinking. Never did I think that in the genre of hip hop, in the culture of hip hop and the genre of rap, did I think it would get so bad that conversations, not just about high IQ and intelligence, but emotional IQ, would get so bad that it would be an insult for you to ask for more. I also didn't understand that there would one day be a day where you would be seen as radical for wanting more than what the surface level provides to you. At 40 years, I look at the music that I came up with and I really see how much of it I took for granted. I listen to the music now and I realize the same issue that those folks with the dopamine addictions and the brain rot who were like, oh my God, it's nothing but words, it's nothing but words. I have a similar issue with the nothing but vibes. What happens when the powers that be, the labels that be, the artists that are part of these systems create a soundtrack that leaves you so lazy, that leaves you so disinterested in life, so depressed, that you don't even want to go after the things that you said were your goals when you were younger? And I'm talking to those who are already young. Social media does it. When you're sitting in front of screens and things that really have, I do it too. When you sit in front of videos that have nothing to do with your life, they have nothing to do with helping you and where you're trying to go. What happens after you consume this, that's why they call it brain rot, is you become no different from a zombie. Your energy has been used and abused to the point where you can't even sit and formulate ideas, opinions, without it feeling like it's a workout. Music is one of those last things that we have, right? That has the ability to bring many different levels of IQ into the same room without needing, without you having to be accepted to a college in order to be here, right? Hip hop is our culture. It is our opportunity to have these conversations that help us no matter what stage we're at. I understand having songs that you really don't look at them too deep from a lyrical standpoint, but I also, in understanding the benefit of having the vibe music and knowing that it's in the background, I also understand that this is leaving a lot of power on the table. When I think about all the music that we're getting right now, and I think about specifically this Clipse album that I'm going to keep on talking about, these are things that are feeding you, are intended to feed you if you're open to it. These are opportunities to give you something. Imagine that. All the energy you give Instagram, all the energy you give a Twitter, X, all the energy you give a TikTok, what do they give you? Except cheap dopamine spikes. How often does it feed you? And I'm not talking about just hacks and tips and tricks. I'm talking about feeding you energetically. When you have music that does that, it should not drain you. And if you feel drained by thinking, think to yourself this, even though I know it hurts. To whose benefit is that? It is insane to watch those with these large platforms like streamers push the dumbifying of hip hop, the dumbing down of it, to the point where they're aggressively fighting against anything that involves thinking, including thinking for yourself. You ain't got to take it from Unc. I hope that you who are listening to those side, you're watching these videos, I hope you understand the real issue here is a lot bigger than just a bunch of bars being stuck together. Because just like you, I don't care how many bars you sticking together if you cannot connect with me on a human level. But what I'm saying to you is pay attention to how you feel after you consume what you consume. There's been music that has been draining you of your money, draining you of your time, of your streaming time, and hasn't given much to you. But hip hop in its purest form is supposed to leave you with more than what you came with. And that is what so many of us are getting after sitting here and experiencing this zombie-like apocalypse of thought. This is bigger than trying to bring back golden age of hip hop. This is not what this is. This is making sure that we take advantage of our right to think for ourselves and to just think before it's illegal. Tell XQC, if you anti-lyricism, how about you don't accidentally promote my plug-in Beat Timer, stupid?
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Because, you know, a lyricist made this shit. A lyricist, you know, one of them people that use their words, a lyricist made this shit. You're fucking up. Your anti-intellectual movement is fucked up. Stop using my plug-in. Golly. DIYers. Those are my thoughts on this topic. Please share below your thoughts in the comments. Nasty word. DIYers, if you enjoyed this content, make sure that you hit the like button and maybe even consider subscribing. Come on, man. Stop being greedy. Peace.